Can the playoffs just, start? Hi! Victory Puppy! Plan the parade!
I have no idea what I'm doing.
God to the riches only! This team is ruining my life! Leafs lose, what was it, 3-1 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay Lightning fans, if I were you, no, we'll get to you later. Leafs fans, if I were you, tough pills to swallow. Are you ready? I'm gonna give you a tough pill to swallow. I hate swallowing pills. I used to hate swallowing pills as a kid, and I used to have to take heart medication before I went to the dentist every time. So what we did was, instead of swallowing the pill, we would crack it open, and I put it in my Coke. It did not make it better. It made it exponentially harder. The pill lasted so much longer. And it was a tough pill to swallow, but I should have swallowed it. It would have been easier. Similarly, Leafs fans, here's a tough pill to swallow, but after you consume the pill, you will feel better. This game didn't matter. There it is. Like at all. But Saturday, final tune-up before the playoff. No. Like, I know Babs is big on that, and he wants guys playing at 110%, and that way you get to emulate the playoffs before the playoffs even begin. Official, the Leafs' last game of the regular season is Saturday. Not official, but extremely likely the Leafs' first playoff game will be on Thursday. So there's going to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday night, they're going to be like, thank goodness we played great on Saturday night. That is why we were on the road to the Stanley Cup, because we had a solid game 82. No! And it is tough for Leaf fans to swallow, because we love this team. We love watching this team. I make a video after every game. And it's not like the players don't want to win. They're athletes. They want to win. Has Mike Babcock ever coached a game he didn't want to win? But Tampa can't accomplish anything with this game other than they're chasing a regular season record. Wow. And the Leafs can't accomplish anything either. And by the way, that regular season record that Tampa Bay is chasing, 62 wins, which would tie the record. Also, the team that won 62 games did not win the Stanley Cup. Oh, they made it kind of far. They lost in the conference final, but ask Tampa if they're satisfied with that. Dude, it's unfortunate. Didn't matter. If you've already listened to the podcast, congratulations, that means you're extremely quick. But in this game, I was looking for individual performances. Muzzin and Kadri are out. You can't see them. Sit them. Good! The games don't matter! Babcock just said that neither of Muzzin or Kadri are going to play Saturday. Good! The games don't matter! Freddie is a different story, because he looks good. I wanted him to rest because it looked like he needed rest. Badly. You all saw it, I saw it. They gave him a little bit of rest, and it did him a world of good. He had that game against the Islanders, just 2 goals against. He had this game against Tampa, only 2 goals against. And the 2 goals against in this one were a shorthanded breakaway that he almost had, and a puck that he probably would have had, but it was tipped in by Callie Rosen, his own defender. If Freddie wants to play Saturday, cool. He's gonna have close to a week off after that. The one argument against it, and it's not the worst one, what's the point of even risking injury there? But in this game, individual performances, I was looking for Freddie. He was great. Jake Gardiner coming back from injury. Apart from the opening shift, he looked great. Patrick Marleau has been a dog for like a month. Dude, he looked a little bit like playoff Patty in this one. Travis Dermott injured? Not injured. Okay, he's fine. He's fine. Mitch Marner turning in a gem? It's funny, I am so rarely the voice of reason in Leafs Nation. I have been freaking out so many times recently. When the Leafs lost 6-2 to the Ottawa Senators, I was literally tweeting at the Bruins, congratulating them on their series win. But today on the podcast, I just had this moment of clarity where I was like, they can do this, they're fine. And they didn't get run out of the building by Tampa, they lost. So let me take you through the difference. The first period had a good pace. It was relatively even, but it was also about as passive as they come. No penalties called in the first period at all. And there probably could have been some. Saw some of you complaining about that. Here's the thing. That was a tune-up for the refs too. Dude, there were at least like 2 Tampa players who got high-sticked in the face in this game and they didn't call it. Less than 5 minutes in, Tampa with the puck at the point, but the Leafs pressuring. That's one thing I've noticed about the Leafs over the last little while. They don't put nearly enough pressure on the points. On this play, they do. Ryan McDonough tries to make a pass over to Chernak and Mitch Marner partially tips it. That's a grammatical mess. Either you tip it or you don't. He only got a little piece of it. Chernak goes to flip it into the Leafs zone, but Hyman lifts his stick and gives it to Marner. Marner flying in. He's got Tavares as a bit of a trailer, but it's not the safest path to pass it. It's not going to stop him from looking all the way over there. I'm going to pass it. Mitch Marner, after all, snipes! The Mountain Dew is good, and Mitch Marner makes it 1-0 Leafs over the league-leading Tampa Bay Lightning. And with that little celebration, you could tell the game meant something to him. And it was so good to see Chernak get stripped on that one. He was being a jerk in this game. Little shots after the whistle, buddy, get out of here. And he didn't have the biggest role to play on this goal, but nice little awareness from Zach Hyman, and he had at least one more chance in the first period. He had a good game too. That whole line I thought was alright. They got the tough assignment against Kucherov's line, so they weren't able to really fly offensively, but they did okay. Another guy who looked good in the first, looked good all game, I thought. Good hands, good feet. Austin Matthews. Just like in the Islanders game, the Leafs were pretty good with their sticks and picking off the Lightning. And dude, I am finding difficulty having watched the game complaining about the game. The Leafs escaped the first period, having not really given up much, and with a 1-0 lead. Second period, Connor Brown draws the hooking call on Braden Coburn, and this is great! Here's the problem. And things are a little thrown off because Kadri's not out there on the first power play unit, but the power play unit's problem is usually scoring. Getting scored against, Then 15 seconds into the Leafs power play, Morgan Riley goes for a pinch, doesn't quite work. Tavares is the high guy, and Steven Stamkos is gone. He's gone. So you'd like Tavares to have a little bit more awareness and maybe a little bit more urgency getting back there in support of Riley. But at the same time, did you see the pass that Ryan McDonough set Steven Stamkos up with? It's literally just like a lazy backhand chop that somehow goes tape to tape across two lines. He comes in on Freddie on the breakaway, goes glove, Freddie knew it, oh! Got a piece of it, but just it trickled in. It's 1-1. But it's okay, the Leafs still have the rest of the power play. LOL. Tied game after 2. I don't have, like, a grudge against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Leafs and Lightning don't really have a history that warrants that. I have also met and interviewed Steven Stamkos many times, and he has been nothing but lovely. But there is something about him I'm like, get out of here, you jerk. It's not just that he's amazing, it's not just that he's a Leafs killer, and it's not just that he plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are very good, and also that he chose not to be a Leaf a couple years ago, because even though I'm a little bitter about that still, at the time, tough to blame him. And I know this is petty, I hate watching him smile on our ice. Whenever Steven Stamkos plays in Toronto, just all smiles, he seems to be having the best time. I hate it. Utter misery. That is all I want to see on the Leafs opponents' faces. Misery. I want them to hate playing here. Gotta work on that with Stamkos. And that does it for the second. The Lightning have a pretty good scoring chance. Sorelli right off the post. Matthews missed a wide open one. Hyman had a decent chance. Dude, it was an even game. Again, if I am having a hard time freaking out about it, it's probably not worth freaking out about. The third period, and therefore the game, all come down to one play. With between 5 and 6 minutes to go, the Leafs' fourth line is on the ice, which... stop that. The Leafs are going for a little bit of a line change, and Freddie Gauthier, just across center ice, tries to chip it up to Trevor Moore. It's an awful idea. Moore is completely covered. It's batted down by Sergachev, it goes the other way. But it's actually handled pretty well by the Leafs, who stuck behind. The D pairing is Dermott and Rosen, and the extra forward is Marleau. The only problem is Marleau doesn't pick up Stamkos. But with the path that Stamkos takes, it's actually not even a problem. Marleau handles him. But Callie, Bud, there's a guy there. You were looking at him a second ago, and in his panic, Rosen turns around, gets a glove on it, and the puck flutters over Freddie, who had a really good chance of getting it on his own. If it wasn't tipped, it was. It's 2-1. Patrick Marleau has a great chance almost immediately after. The Leafs whack away at it. There's an empty netter. That's it. So the game ultimately came down to your brand new center sort of forgetting about his guy, but on a split-second play that was caused by a turnover in the neutral zone by your fourth-line center, who mystifyingly was out on the ice with less than 6 minutes to go. Travis Dermott went off for a bit. He seems fine. Whatever's ailing Kadri and Jake Muzzin, they're going to have over a week off by the time they play Boston. Marner looked fantastic. Matthews looked fantastic. I'm not finding something to complain about, man. And this isn't about finding excuses either, because yes, you play to win the game. I am a Leafs fan. I would have preferred to watch the Toronto Maple Leafs win this game, if you want to know my honest opinion. Dude, they look good. I just think they look good. A few things worth criticism. Gardner playing about 16 minutes I actually like. Ease him back into the lineup. And the first shift didn't exactly bring confidence, but as the game that went on, I was like, hey, That's Jake. You know, for all his warts, the Leafs look so much more like the Leafs with Jake Gardiner in the lineup. The way he passes the puck up the ice, the way the game flows, it just felt so much more natural. I can't wait. I actually can't wait for a Leafs lineup that has both he and Muzzin in it. The two Jakes together at last. But Babs, the fourth line, so late. I like that he gave Rosen and Dermott a challenge that late. They didn't do so good with it. And someone who I vehemently defended for a while and really went to bat for on Twitter a couple days ago because it was the right thing to do, William Nylander. His first 19 games after signing were atrocious and he sat out, so that's his fault. But ever since those first 19 games, Nylander's actual points per game are almost virtually identical with his career average. He'd be on pace for about a 60-point season. Well, what about the goals? Well, his shooting percentage is less than half of his career average, which I gotta imagine is gonna improve. Plus, he had a nice night the other night, it just didn't count. And that was his fault. He was offside. And that's what I gotta grill him for. People have been pointing out that his numbers have been good, his possession, his actual points, he's been setting guys up. Great, great. I've liked watching him. A little bit too often in the past week, just sloppy. There was one play in particular, I think it was in the second or the third, it was right after Tampa scored, I want to say, where he's cutting through the middle of the ice and he's in the neutral zone and he just flips it above everybody for icing. And I'm like, what did you even do that for? And I know that's just one silly play and it's a drop in the bucket, but William Nylander needs to raise his game. I'm not here trying to justify his whole career and his entire contract and all that. I am simply saying he needs to tighten up heading into the playoffs. How could you possibly go against that? No, actually, he should play like garbage. I know I said that these games ultimately mean nothing, but Matthews has been playing so well recently. Mitch Marner was a demon in this game. If Willie can get to that point, ooh. And speaking of get to that point, can we get Kasperi Kapanen to 20 on Saturday? That should be the mission. Dude, there's nothing else to play for. Play good. Look good, all right? And get Cappy to 20. Other than that, I honestly don't think it was a very eventful game. I'm happy to take your questions, though. Oh, Lightning fans, if I were you, I would be miserable. I'd be an epic ball of anxiety, even worse than I already am right now. Dude, you're the Tampa Bay Lightning. You have 61 wins. You might have 62. You are far and away the best team in the NHL. So if you don't win the Stanley Cup, it is a failure. Every year, the President's Trophy is essentially the, hey, if you don't win the Stanley Cup, it means you duffed it award. When you enter the 60-win club, if you tie the wins in the regular season record, and you don't come away with that big mug, that popcorn maker, you failed. Now, any season where you don't win the Stanley Cup is technically a failure, but you know it's different. And it affects teams. You know when the Capitals lost the Stanley Cup a couple years ago? When they let the Leafs score the first goal of the series. Like, it honestly didn't matter that the Caps won that game and ended up winning that series. They were shooketh. And Tampa's in this weird position now where we don't know exactly what's going to happen, who they're going to face yet, but it looks like it's either going to be Columbus or Montreal. Columbus is interesting because they're looking like they're barely going to make it, and if they do make it, they will have barely made it. But they also loaded the hell up, and they're going to be deep. Have a few days to get some practices in, gel a little bit more. And the other option is Montreal, and you might laugh, but dude, they have played Tampa tight this season. I don't know if you've seen any Habs Tampa games. I have. They've been doozies. And I don't know if you saw the one on Tuesday. The Habs kicked the crap out of him. Yes, I know Hedman hasn't been playing, and he wasn't playing in this one against the Leafs. That sucks. But Eddie Pasquale was in net for Tampa, and you might go, oh, right there. Dude, he was like Tampa's best player. Tampa fans, if I were you, and the Tampa Bay Lightning win the Stanley Cup, I wouldn't be thinking about this. In fact, I'd be laughing at this in a couple months. However, right now, anxiety. Hi. Questions. How does this make you feel? Oof, are you ready for Bob Cole's last game? Oh, baby, for sure. I am not. Today I shot a video for Sportsnet's YouTube channel. Should be up, I would assume, before Saturday or before the game on Saturday, where I talk about some of Bob Cole's favorites calls. And some of them were from my childhood, some were recent, some were before I was even born. Young broadcasters, young people who want to get into maybe doing play-by-play one day, listen to Bob Cole and the way that he understands the flow and music of a hockey game. It's funny because he's had so many memorable calls, but a lot of them are simply scores or Gilmore! He just says the player's name and then goes into a spiel. Mario Lemieux splitting the D against Minnesota, like it's so rare that a play that legendary has a call that is worthy of it. Like I see people on Twitter go, oh God, I hate Bob Cole and this and that. Dude, I guess you just didn't hear the heyday. Maybe I didn't hear the heyday. The guy's like in his 80s. I guess I got to hear him in his 60s. His first broadcast was in 1969. Bob Cole has been broadcasting hockey games since the moon landing. And Saturday night should be a good one. I like this. Which Jake Gardiner reaction best describes this game? I'm gonna go with this one because it almost looks like he got pretend smacked by a child. Like this game, again, it doesn't matter that they lost. So it's like I'm going, shucks. Did that make any sense? No, it didn't. Here, next one. This is a great question and I think it deserves some depth. So maybe we'll end here. How do you feel about the team going into game 1 of the playoffs? What do you think needs to be worked on more if the Leafs want to beat the Bruins? Honestly, the sticks have been so good recently. Their feet have been moving, stick handling well. They seem to be playing confident, unafraid. All of those things are things that the Leafs have been actively working on and doing well with. The banging and crashing, I don't think that needs to be worked on. Dude, you know how to do that. And it's Montreal. Montreal is going to be playing for their lives. This game means nothing to you. You can start sparks. I don't care. So don't engage Montreal with that nonsense. They're going to need to exercise some discipline. I would like to see the power play try something different, but Kadri's not in the lineup and Muzzin's not in the lineup and he's part of the second unit. I'm not sure what they can work on there. Honestly, make sure your line changes are full of intent. I think the Leafs have been getting better at this recently where they'll skate into a situation where in the offensive zone they got nothing. There's nothing there, so they'll go backwards. They've been getting better at that, but there were a couple times in this game where they just hoofed it into the Tampa zone and basically turned it over for no reason. In fact, that's pretty much what Gauthier was doing. Well, he tried to get it to Trevor Moore, but Gauthier was sort of doing that, leading to the second goal. If he passes it back, they're fine. And lastly, it worked on the Leafs' first goal, but there were a few times in this game and a few times in so many games this season where the opposing team, when they're in the offensive zone, they're just sort of able to pass it back and forth between the 2 points with immunity. Got to get those high forwards involved and aggressive. Force a turnover. Oh, one last one. Don't let Zaitsev break the puck out. Ever. Stop. Let him beat guys up behind the net and in front of the net and chop at the puck if he needs to. But there was one where Gardner gave it to Zaitsev in this game. You might even remember what I'm talking about. And Zaitsev comes from the right side and tries to exit on the left, and it just stayed in the Leaf zone for like another 15 seconds. He can't do the thing. But now with Gardner back, Dermott hopefully healthy, and when Muzzin comes back, I think that's really going to take a load off Zaitsev, and I think we're going to like him a lot more. And I guess maybe just one more thing. Protect Freddie. You know, getting rid of the Carolina game, that was utter crap. But if you look at their past 3 games with actual rest, okay? You look at this game, I thought the Leafs looked fine. They hung around with the best team in the league. You look at the Ottawa game, they were the better team in that game. It came down to goaltending. You look at the Islanders game, that was such a complete performance. I think the Leafs are playing fine hockey. I think I got all my worrying out of the way early, and I'm actually heading into the playoffs with a fair amount of optimism. I'm not going to lie. It's weird. We had no expectations heading into the Washington series, and it was fun. We had lots of expectations heading into the playoffs last year, and it was such a letdown. When the Leafs were a top 5 team for like most of the season, we're talking about the parade and all these wonderful things, and the past month has gotten rid of all of that. And for some reason, now that I've gotten that out of my system, I'm a free man. Like, I just... ever since they clinched, just, my chest, just, like, dude, there's nothing that can change on Saturday. Nothing. Just stay healthy, dude. And I would encourage this. This is my last thing that I'll leave you with. I mentioned this on the podcast today. Leaf fans know the Leafs really well. How well do you know the Bruins? No, like, how well do you really know the Bruins? Oh, they're a good hockey team, for sure. Could they win a Stanley Cup this year? Totally, maybe. They're beatable. They're beatable. They're 100% beatable. A wise man once told me, young man, if you believe you will lose, you will lose. And I think about that often. So I'm choosing to believe they can win. So let me ask you, I'm only going to ask you once more, are you in? Because if you're not, why are you watching? Yeah, you are. You're in on this team. Just embrace it. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. I hope I get to see you in Kitchener. Going to be doing a signing at Klutz and Chara tomorrow, 4:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Got signings coming up at the Costco's in, there's going to be one in Mississauga, Oshawa, London, April 7th, 8th, 9th, and I hope to see you there. Remember, Saturday, it's just for fun.